What's going on YouTube? It's Teej back again with another video, and today we are breaking out a new series. We're going to call this On the Clock. It's very similar to my Grade the Mock series, but we're actually going to kind of incorporate something that Alex over at Hail Mary Sports does. He does, Mock the Mock, then what? And we're going to be doing something basically that's the exact same. We're going to take the first round here, Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest 2024 mock. I believe this is his 2.0. And then we're going to load it into the PFF mock draft simulator, and I will give you a second round on where I think things could go if they did play out in this direction. But first, let's go ahead and jump right into it and start by talking about Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest mock draft. Let me know what you thought about the mock down below. Who's your favorite team? Did you like the picks Mel gave your squad? And of course, let me know what you think about the second rounder that I'm going to put together. Because we are doing a second round, though, I'm going to probably fly through this Mel Kiper Jr. mock draft relatively quickly. Caleb Williams at 1. This is going to be chalk. I mean, you're going to see this the rest of the cycle. And unless we hear a word of a surprise trade, Chicago moving out of the number 1 spot, that's going to be the pick. Washington Commanders. Then at 2, this is... There's a lot of me that says, like, you look at Cliff Kingsbury's offense in Arizona, and then you look at what Jane Daniels did at LSU. There's a lot there that kind of says, maybe Daniels is their guy. Like, I could totally see where there's enough similarities on how those offenses were run to where Jane's the guy they're going to key in on if Caleb's gone. I just think you got to go Drake May there. I mean, I like Jane Daniels a ton, but I think Drake May is the right pick there. He's, to me, the better QB prospect. And then it gets interesting at 3. There were, obviously, this is Mel puts together pre-combine. In a couple days, I'm going to have my 32 combine winners, so stick to the channel for that. But, while at the combine, apparently, there was some reporters talking about how Bill Belichick was super high on Jane Daniels. And the question was, would Gerard Mayo have the same feelings? So that becomes really interesting. If it is Williams May 1-2, as I think it will be, if assuming Gerard Mayo loves Jane Daniels as much as Bill did, I mean, that feels like a slam dunk. Like, you can go ahead and count that as a lock. Like, it's going to be Jane Daniels there at 3. I am kind of thinking about a future mock where I have New England trade for Justin Fields and then take Marvin Harrison Jr. at 3. If you're a Pats fan, let me know how you'd feel about that versus how you feel about, the reports that, Bill loved Jane Daniels, so maybe that gives you an idea of where they're going to go there at 3. Marv at 4 in this situation makes all the sense in the world. J.C. Latham at 5. Look, I think J.C. Latham's a good player. I think he deserves to go in the first round. First tackle off the board, though, I can't get behind that. I think Mel's kind of overthinking the whole right tackle thing of it all. Like, Joe Alt easily could flip over to the right tackle, and this may well be something you see me do in a future mock very soon. The Giants, Rome Odunze, I could totally see a world where he ends up being receiver 2 off the board. I don't think that's out of the realm of possibility, and he's the exact receiver they're kind of missing, so I could see where they're saying, hey, we like Odunze, we like Neighbors equally, but we already have a big play threat in Jalen Hyatt. Let's go get the big body guy in Rome Odunze. Don't hate that fit at all. Titans then take Joe Alt. This makes way more sense, and honestly, I'm sure Mel's hyping up why he loves Alt to Tennessee. To me, it makes no sense why you wouldn't go with Alt at 5. Really, if Alt does go to Los Angeles, it becomes interesting who the Titans want to key in on here at 7, because is Olu their guy? Is J.C. Latham? Is Talise Fuaga? Who's their guy if Alt's off the board? Because a lot of mocks right now have Alt going to Tennessee, and there's a tackle taken before the Titans get on the clock. It's going to become a really fun and interesting decision they have to make. Maybe it's just a trade down spot, and then you readdress off the tackle later. Falcons, Dallas Turner, especially after his day 1 showing at the Combine. This feels like a great fit for Raheem Morris in that defense. And if they handle quarterback via Kirk Cousins or Justin Fields, I think this makes all the sense in the world to be a direction I'd love to see them go in. Bears then take Malik Neighbors. Dude, looking to Shane Waldron, vertical-based offense. Caleb Williams coming in at the number 1 overall pick. Giving him weapons like Malik Neighbors, DJ Moore. That would be a super exciting prospect. If you're a Bears fan, let me know your ideal receiver there at 9. Like, would it be Rome? Would it be Neighbors? Would it be Brian Thomas Jr.? Who's your guy that you're looking at there at 9? Jets take Brock Bowers. I think this is a live possibility. I could totally see a world where the Jets take care of tackle in free agency, get a veteran guy who has less uncertainty maybe around them. You just don't know how a tackle is going to hit the ground and if they're going to be ready right away. And they don't really have that much room for error. They don't have time to wait. So I could see them handling tackle and free agency and then going Brock Bowers there at 10. I think that's a perfect fit. Jared Verse then at 11. Great combine. If you're not following Daniel Jeremiah, I don't know what you're doing. But Daniel Jeremiah actually just tweeted this morning about, edge rushing 40 times of guys with 33-plus inch arms, and Jared Verse is 1, Myles Garrett's 2. So not to say this guy's going to be the next Myles Garrett, but I've always been a huge fan of Jared Verse. And honestly, I think the combine showed a lot of people who, I knew he was a good athlete, but he's putting up some huge numbers. And I think he's kind of moving the needle further in that direction where he's going to be probably edge 2 for most people, right behind Dallas Turner, probably the second edge off the board. And he's a better athlete than I think the consensus sees him as right now. Especially when you compare him to like a Latu Ward. That's not really his game. Denver Broncos, J.J. McCarthy. This makes all the sense in the world. Whether it's Bo Nix or J.J. McCarthy, I think Sean Payton, that one of those two guys is going to be his guy. J.J. McCarthy doesn't have the biggest sample size, not a whole lot of dropbacks, but I will say what he has shown and what he does have passing wise at Michigan, all of it translates to the NFL. So I could totally see where Sean Payton's saying, yeah, it's a small sample size, but I can buy into it. And like, there's a world where he sits for a year, and Jarrett Stidham, like, I know he's not a super sexy name, but he's a guy that like got a pretty solid backup quarterback deal last year from Sean Payton to the Denver Broncos. Like, he's a guy with a ton of respect around the league, it sounds like. And from the things I've heard, don't be surprised if this is like McCarthy sits for first half of the year, maybe sits the entire year, and they bring in someone like, or they just let Jarrett Stidham be the starter for half a year. Like, that wouldn't shock me. But it's going to be really interesting to see what teams do with J.J. McCarthy. Do they trust him right away? I think he needs at least a half season, probably even a full season on the bench, learn from someone else. Gardner Minshew, maybe another name. They get cheap for free agency. Could be another Sean Payton guy. Raiders, Byron Murphy. He had a great combine showing day one. Love this fit. This is the defensive disruptor that I've been waiting for the Raiders to add, and they just have not. And I've been doing mock drafts for a few years now. Maybe this is the year where they do it. Olu Fashanu, I love this fit. I've had this in a couple mocks. And man, if they can take advantage of Olu and his like falling stock, I think the combine's going to save his stock, by the way. But I think if he does fall down here to 14, this makes all the sense in the world. And then you flip Penning over to right tackle. And then if Ramczyk does decide to come back, Penning's probably better off playing guard anyways. So I think no matter what the rest of the offseason entails for the Saints, Olu Fashanu, a huge upgrade there at left tackle for New Orleans, where they need it. Colts, Tyrion Arnold, love this a ton, especially if we see a world where Kenny Moore does not go back to Indianapolis. And if that's the case, I'd be really curious. In this case, I think Tyrion Arnold would probably play the slot. I love the idea of him playing slot. But I could see a world where maybe they go Quinyon Mitchell, and he could also play some slot. But Mitchell plus Jalen Jones, who Mel talked about here on the outside, Juju Brents with that 6'6", 3 cone at 6'4", playing him in the slot. That could be really fun. Get some size, get some length. Pretty decent tackler, good frame for it at least. That could be really fun. But we'll have to see what they do with Kenny Moore first. And if they keep Kenny Moore around, Tyrion Arnold, Juju Brents on the outside, super athletic, insane change of direction skills in all three of those starting corners, I would be super pumped. And especially in zone-heavy defense, big play opportunities there, trying to generate some turnovers. Troy Fautano to the Seattle Seahawks. We've seen this at a ton of mocks. I think it makes a lot of sense. Seattle's definitely looking for an upgrade at honestly both guard spots. Jags, Quinyon Mitchell, this makes a ton of sense. If they're going to do this, I hope they play him in the slot, and I think he'd be just fine there. Pretty solid tackler. Movement skills are there. Plays stronger than a sub-200 frame than would suggest. I would dig this a ton. I don't want the Jags to draft an outside corner and then force Darius Williams back in the slot, because he's shown that he's a much better outside corner than he is inside. If they draft an outside corner and move on from Williams, then so be it. But if they're going to have Williams on the roster, he needs to play outside. Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper DeJean, Tyrion Arnold, one of those guys can play the slot. And then I think this cornerback room is complete at least for a season. Taliese Fuaga. I've heard Talise. I've heard Taliese. Let me know your favorite pronunciation for Fuaga down below. But yeah, I mean, this is the right tackle that the Bengals are just like fingers crossed. It's Brock Bowers or one of these awesome right tackles, which there's a lot of right tackles. So they're probably hoping it's Brock Bowers. And if it's not him, they're keying in on Fuaga. They're keying in on Latham. They're keying in on guys like that. Tyler Guyton, another guy they can consider there. So fit makes a ton of sense there. Cooper DeJean to the Rams. This could be super fun. I think if they did go in this direction, he'd probably play outside corner. I see DeJean as a slot just because I think he's a good enough player, and I think he's just a freak athletically, and wish I could have seen what he did at the Combine while to wait for his pro day. But I just want that dude at the center of my defense. I want him in as many plays as possible, so I'd play him in the slot. But I think, Quentin Lake kind of showcased that he could maybe be their slot corner of the future. So here it's probably DeJean playing out wide. Held up and then some at Iowa there, and also like an insane special teamer. So I wonder if they give him some chance there to make some big plays in that third facet of the game. Nate Wiggins to the Steelers. I'd love to see this. Interesting. So I'm kind of sprinkling some combine updates here. Weighing in at 173, listed on Clemson's website at 185. 12 pounds is one hell of a difference. And at 185, I was already figuring this guy's going to probably run upper 4.3s to low 4.4s. So 173, man, I don't know. This guy better run a blazing fast 40 to, make up for that 12 pounds lost right there. But still a huge Nate Wiggins guy. Coverage flexibility both on, off, man, zone, you name it. And having him be the outside corner on top of JPJ, would love that as a Steelers fan. Graham Barton to the Dolphins. Mel likes him as a center. Whether it's a center replacement for Connor Williams, it's a guard replacement, or upgrade there at left guard in general. spot starter at left tackle for Teron Armstead, assuming he comes back and will eventually miss some time. Like, this guy is your glue. Like, whatever problem comes up, Graham Barton's going to be the guy to bring those two pieces back together. Love that fit in Miami. Laiatu Latu. Longer arms than Chomp Robinson. Not the craziest bend. Not going to have the most insane 40. Just a great football player with technically refined skill set and enough power. Like, I could see this being their Brandon Graham replacement for sure. Like, I haven't had this happen in a mock yet, but I actually think it makes all the sense in the world. I just don't. If you're an Eagles fan, let me know, like, what's Howie's track record been on, like, guys with, like, a really worrisome injury history, aside from Nakobe Dean. If they took Nakobe Dean in the first round, I think this is totally possible. Nakobe Dean was this guy who had, like, first, second round talent and then ultimately fell to the third. So, like, to me, it was the value surplus there that made Howie say, okay, we can make this pick. I think he passed on him twice, too. You got to think about that. So, I'd be really curious to see if there's any other Eagles that Howie Roseman's drafted with, like, an insane injury history. Nothing's immediately coming to mind, at least from, like, the college ranks. Was Lane Johnson super banged up in college? I can't remember off the top of my head now. So if you're an Eagles fan, I'm going to lean on your expertise there. Texans, Tyler Guyton. I mean, this would be awesome. I know there's some Texans fans who don't want to see offensive tackle in the first round. They can make do with everything else. I think Laramie Tunsil plus Tyler Guyton gives you an insane upside tackle tandem there for CJ Stroud, who by the end of next year we could be talking about as a top 5 quarterback in the league, like legitimately. So I love this a ton, and ultimately Titus Howard is probably going to be their left guard replacement for Kenyon Green, and I would expect to see him traded this offseason. He's probably a guy that, like, if you're a gap scheme team, I don't know. If you're the Ravens, I'd be making that call. If I'm the Patriots, I'd be making that call for Kenyon Green, because I just don't know if he's necessarily a fit for Houston's current blocking scheme. So Kenyon Green could be on the move. Titus Howard's the replacement. Tyler Guyton to play right tackle. I like it a lot. Marius Mims to the Cowboys could be an immediate starter over Terrence Steele. Also could be a developmental piece and maybe a left tackle in the future, replacing Tyron Smith. I think Tyron Smith comes back for one more year in Dallas. So Mims, again, could be an immediate starter, or you just draft and stash. And with the Cowboys' track record of developing O-line, I like that a ton. Jordan Morgan to the Packers. So kind of a fun one. You can play him at tackle or guard. In this case, I think Morgan could more than hold up at tackle at the NFL level. But in this case, I'd play him at left guard, flip Elton Jenkins over to play right guard, and then really the weak link of this O-line's Josh Myers, and I think I can live with that. So I think Rasheed Walker and Zach Tom showed enough to where they can be that tackle tandem in the future. Still not a bad idea bringing in a guy with some flexibility. Say if Walker takes a huge step back, you could have Jordan Morgan step in at play left tackle, and you just reinsert Runyon Jr. into a guard spot, basically. Keon Coleman to the Bucs. If they lose out on Mike Evans, I like this a ton. Super freaky athlete, has the same vertical skill set, great ball skills. Yeah, I think this is a great Mike Evans replacement. May not be the most polished right away, so that's like the one downside, but also like Baker Mayfield loves his big body targets, so if you're going to lose out on Evans, make sure you get him one, and Keon Coleman's definitely that. Darius Robinson, the Cardinals, I love this fit a ton. A guy who can play outside, give you that power rusher skill set that you don't really have, but also fold inside, and basically I think Darius Robinson would basically be, I don't want to say in a rotation, but he'd be the if this then that statement for B.J. Ojulari. If Darius Robinson is playing edge, then B.J. Ojulari is probably on the bench. If Darius Robinson moves inside, B.J. Ojulari is probably the DPR, the designated pass rush specialist, and I like that a ton. So honestly, you could have just Ojulari on the field anytime Robinson kicks inside. I like that a lot. Brian Thomas Jr., I don't think he falls as far. Honestly, I think after the combine, you're going to start seeing mocks where there's going to be a receiver who goes to Arizona at 4, Los Angeles at 5, the Giants at 6, and then you're going to see mocks with Brian Thomas Jr. going 9 to the Chicago Bears. I've had a mock, only the one, but I think that's a live possibility. I'm surprised Brian Thomas Jr. works himself in that top 10 in future mocks after his combine performance. I just don't see a world where he makes it to 28. If he does, though, that's Gabe Davis plus right there. TJ Tampa to the Lions. I think he's not working out at the combine, which sucks, but I think he'll put up insane numbers at his pro day, and played a whole lot of zone at Iowa State, but has the makings of a man press corner. So as we've seen Aaron Glenn, he wants to play man and he wants to play press man, but he's had to play more zone. Like, I think TJ Tampa might be the perfect guy to plug into that defense on the outside, plus a little bit more size, something that you're kind of missing right now with Cam Sutton and some of the smaller corners. Kamari Lassiter, just kind of Kool-Aid McKinstry's lesser version maybe. So, the question is, why not Kool-Aid McKinstry here? I would go Kool-Aid over Kamari Lassiter. Both guys have 3 years of starting experience. Were trusted by, 2 of the best defenses in college football and 2 of the best defensive minds, Nick Saban, Kirby Smart, respectively, to start as true freshmen, which says a lot. I don't think either guy's athletically off the charts. They're just great football players, have great technical skill sets, and really from that standpoint, they're NFL ready. So as long as the athletic measurables and the athletic testing is not disastrous, right? As long as they're not hitting any can't draft thresholds, right? The arms are insanely short, or all of a sudden they lost all their weight, anything like that. These guys are just solid football players who just play the position really technically sound. So could totally see a team like Baltimore targeting one of those 2 guys. I just think I'd go Kool-Aid over Kamari Lassiter. Chop Robinson, 49ers. I think I said this in my last mock. If it wasn't the last one, it was the one before that. This makes a ton of sense. There is no commitment going into next year for Chase Young or Randy Gregory for this team. So they could draft Chop Robinson to be their replacement. And they have a great defensive line coach whose name's now escaping me, who has just done nothing but develop these guys. And look no further than Charles Menahue. Disappointment in Houston, now making double-digit $1 million a year in Kansas City. Giving him an athletic freak like Chop Robinson. I don't think Chop makes it this far after the combine. He's probably going somewhere in the top 24 now, considering 4.4, 840, an insane 20-yard shuttle. The dude's an athletic freak. He probably doesn't make it here, but if he does, sending him to a defensive line coach who has had a track record of developing pass rush moves and the actual pass rush technique with his athlete, oh my God, that'd be insane. Last pick before we jump into a second round, Xavier Worthy to the Kansas City Chiefs. Don't hate it whatsoever. Worthy over A.D. Mitchell. I think A.D.'s right now probably my wide receiver 5. I like his upside. Even kind of over Ladd McConkey is interesting here. I do think Xavier Worthy is Marquez Valdes-Scantling, a little bit shorter, but way more after the catch ability, has way more. He was leading receiver this year for Texas, so I also think there's more intermediate volume that you could probably get out of him versus Marquez Valdes-Scantling, who is just a designated deep threat. So I think you get faster. I think you get more yak ability, plus some upside for what could be there, and a little bit larger of a volume role than what they have with MVS. So I like that a ton. There's maybe some other guys that I would prioritize, and I would take over that. So we're going to take a pause, and let's jump over to the PFF Mock Draft Simulator, and I'm going to give you the second round continuation to Mel Kiper Jr.'s latest 2024 mock draft. All right, well, we're loaded into the second round, and we kick things off with the Carolina Panthers. I'm immediately kind of looking in the receiver spot. Troy Franklin, Ladd McConkey, I like a lot, man, here, but I'm going to trust my receiver rankings. I'm going to go with my wide receiver 5, go with Donnie Mitchell here. Then we get to the New England Patriots, so you go quarterback at 3. You could go offensive tackle here, Kingsley Suamataia, Patrick Paul, some okay options. Let's give him a receiver, though. Franklin or McConkey, they already got Pop Douglas, so I feel like they need someone with a little bit more size. All right, we'll go Troy Franklin to the New England Patriots. I think Franklin's good, but I'm not in love with him as much as some other people. Arizona Cardinals, so trying to refresh myself on what the Cardinals did. Marvin Harrison Jr., and then edge. So I think this is a great Kool-Aid McKinstry spot. This is a fantastic Kool-Aid McKinstry spot. Rush that pick in. Then we get to the Washington Commanders. Obviously went quarterback early on. I think tackle is going to be a great place to start. Kingsley Suamataia, Patrick Paul. I've done Patrick Paul a ton, but we'll do it again here. I think they're just looking for an NFL-ready guy. It was an offensive tackle at 5, J.C. Latham. Could look for another receiver here. Don't have to force that pick whatsoever. Don't feel the need to go overboard there. Johnny Newton's kind of an interesting little 3-tech option. Braden Fisk is crushing the combine at the moment. Tavondre Sweat. I'm going to go with my IDL too. Let's go Tavondre Sweat. We've been looking to give the Chargers a nose tackle for some time now, and I like that a good bit. Then we get to the Titans, so they went offensive line. Could go receiver or DB here. You got D-Hop. I'm just kind of looking for a big play threat. Roman Wilson, 38's a little rich for my blood. So is Ricky Pearsall. What are the corner options looking like? Ennis Rakestraw. See, this is kind of why, if you get the chance to take Neighbors at 7, you might just want to jump on it if you're the Tennessee Titans. Could go Ennis Rakestraw, but him and Roger McCreary, man, that's just going to be a really small tandem. I'll go Roman Wilson. We're seeing him in some first-round mocks. Him, D-Hop, Treylon Burks, Kyle Phillips is the 4th guy. I don't hate it. Giants, reminder, they went Rome Odunze. Is there any right tackles here we could snag? You could flip Kingsley Suamataia. Don't know if I'm rushing to do that, though. What about interior offensive line? You know what you could do? Could you play Jax Powers Johnson at guard? I'm almost intrigued by what that could look like. And as you do have some quarterbacks available too here. That's the other thing. No Bo Nix, no Michael Penix in the first round. I'm going to go Bo Nix. I feel like you kind of have to. You're right. So back to Washington. Went quarterback, went offensive tackle. What about the edge group here? Edge or linebacker to me make the most sense. Oh, Braylon Trice. I like that fit a lot. I think Braylon Trice, that's a really nice fit there. In Washington, then we get back to the Green Bay Packers. First round reminder, we went Jordan Morgan. So I'm going to go Tyler Nubin here. Let's just go in the secondary. I think corner, safety, both in play there. Vikings, they went Jared Verse. Dude, Jackson Powers Johnson, man. Like, I'm pissed that I got him falling this far. He's just way too good of a player. I know they went edge. What's the corner crop looking like? Rakestraw, Kyrie Jackson. Yeah, I think I'm going to go Johnny Newton here, actually. That interior defensive line in Minnesota is just garbage. And honestly, 42 is way too late. I should have had him come off the board before this. We went edge for the Atlanta Falcons. This would have been a great spot for Johnny Newton. You know what? Let's just go Braden Fisk. Like, I don't hate Fisk here. Not by any means. Other than maybe receiver. Let me take one quick look. Lad McConkey. I'm going to go Fisk, and let's just say they signed Darnell Mooney, maybe, as like the number 2. Corners intriguing. Nah, I'm gonna go Fisk. It's a team that's getting a lot older on the interior defensive line, and it's kind of an under talked about position. And I think Fisk has made himself a lot of money at Indianapolis. So then that takes us to the Vegas Raiders. Michael Penix here. Thoughts on Michael Penix? What? Interior defensive line? Yeah, I think you got to go Michael Penix here. New Orleans, this could have been another spot for that. Olu Fashanu in that first round. I think I got to make a trade here. Jackson Powers Johnson can't fall any further, right? So guess what? Congratulations, everybody. You guys get an extra, like a little bonus added in value here. Lopsided. I don't know what the point difference between these two would be. I don't know. The 4th round pick, offer more likely than not going to be accepted. Boom. Pittsburgh comes up. Jackson Powers Johnson, cool. Let's go ahead and reset. We'll come back to New Orleans later on. So corner in the first round for the Colts. Can we go interior or edge here? Braswell feels like a guy they could dig. Booker, kind of a disappointing 40 time for him. Marshawn Nealon, decent showing. Adisa Isaac. I'll go Braswell here. I like Braswell as a fit. Then we get to the Giants once again. We went Bo Nix. They went receiver in the first round. Interior offensive line. Not loving those options. What about tackle? Anybody we can kick inside? Dominic Pooney. Maybe play him at left guard. Feels kind of like Pooney a little bit later on in the second, though. Edge, linebacker, DB. All right. I can talk myself into it. Any right tackles? Nah. All right. I'm going to talk myself into Dominic Pooney. He had a really nice Senior Bowl. Play him at left guard. Give Evan Neal another shot at right tackle. Sounds like that's kind of Joe Shane's preferred option here. So we'll trust that, and we'll go with it there. So it was corner in the first round. I think interior offensive line's got to be a good move here. I like Zach Frazier. I like Zach Frazier for the Jags. I don't hate that whatsoever. To the Cincinnati Bengals, they went offensive tackle. Could they go defensive interior? For sure. Could they go tight end? JT Sanders? I haven't done JT Sanders to the Bengals. I think that's an interesting idea. Let's go with JT Sanders there. Edge in the first round for the Eagles. Offensive line option. Not loving the value of any of these guys, if I'm honest. What about receiver? Can we find him a designated deep threat? Ooh, Jermaine Burton. Not a bad shout. What about corner? Yeah. Rakestraw. Play him in the slot. I like that. I think you play Rakestraw as an Avonte Maddox replacement there. And then Vic Fangio defense. Could go Peyton Wilson, too. Peyton Wilson's not a bad shout. So it was corner in the first round, right, for the Rams. Let's see what edges. Can we get him an explosive edge rusher? Adisa, or Jonah Ellis. I'll go with Adisa Isaac there. I like that a good bit. Now we get back to the New Orleans Saints. Tough spot here. Edge or defensive line. See, the thing is with these edge rushers, sorry, I didn't mean to do that, is that they're not totally their types. So it just makes it a little trickier to do this. Chris Jenkins plus Brian Brzee. Kind of a fun idea. Edge, I don't know. They need production right away, so let's go ahead and get him an NFL-ready guy. Ellis is not their body type. they like guys 250 plus, and Ellis is going to have to work to get up there. Haven't gotten the official measurement. At least I don't have it off the top of my head. All right, Dolphins. So it was Graham Barton in the first round. Man, don't rule out tackle here. Like I don't think it's a bad idea to double up this position. I'm going to go Christian Haynes. I think you play Barton at one spot or at center, and then Haynes at the other one. Like there's a realistic possibility you lose Connor Williams and Robert Hunt this offseason, and that is a scary proposition for an offensive line that needed those guys plus pieces, and they might lose those guys. That's problematic. Now we get back to the Eagles. I'll go Peyton Wilson here. They need to get better at linebacker. And dude, what was it? 4'4", 340? Are you kidding me? Yeah, those knees look just fine. Then we get to the Cleveland Browns. Dude, Ladd McConkey, sprint the card in. That's the receiver they could use right there. That's fantastic. Love that. Offensive line for the Cowboys in the first round. I'm gonna go back to old reliable Jonathan Brooks. I think they bring back Tony Pollard. Brooks is the in-between tackles guy. Pollard is the outside tackle guy, receiving back like that a lot. Or they could just have Deuce Vaughn be that guy. Back to the Packers. So offensive line and safety. Could we go back to the corner well? I just don't love the crop there. What about defensive interior? Can we get them someone? Let's go. Nah, I kind of like their two guys. They restructured Preston Smith. You got Rashawn Gary there. I don't like going running back here either. I'm just going to go back to corner. Push comes to shove. Play Stokes in the slot. You know what? Even better than that. Play Mike Sanders still in the slot. Let's really get this team a playmaker. Let's give this team baby Devon Witherspoon. I love that. I actually like that a lot. Then we get back to Tampa Bay. Reminders for what they did in the first round. Keon Coleman. Ooh. Especially with the cut of Shaq Barrett. Feels like you kind of have to go edge here. Marshawn Nealon or Austin Booker. Ooh, tough decision to be made here. I think I'm going to go Nealon. More impressed with what's happened for him so far at Indianapolis. Houston, they went offensive line. I love the idea of Jalen Polk playing the slot there. I'm a huge Jalen Polk guy, so can you guys see what's going on behind me? Special cameo from my pet. You never know what's going to happen. He's rummaging around behind me. Anyways, let's get back on track. 5 more picks to go. Buffalo Bills. So they went Brian Thomas in the first round. I really don't know how likely that is to happen, but I think if Cam Kinchens is here, it's a great safety replacement for them long term. Corner for the Lions in the first round. Can we get them an edge rusher? Austin Booker. I'm just not feeling that. I like Gabe Murphy, honestly, right now a little bit more than Booker. That 40 was just a little worrying. Like, I don't know. Ravens. There was a corner in the first round. They got Justin Madubuike more than likely coming back. Where could this team go? Corner? Do we want to go to the corner well? Kyrie Jackson, Jaron Jones, Cam Hart. What about receiver? Can we get this team a receiver? Like a man beater. Xavier Legette's not a terrible value. Javon Baker, big body, man beater. I like it. Let's go Javon Baker there. Edge rusher for the 49ers. I'm looking offensive line or interior offensive line here. Wow, I'm not really loving these fits for their blocking scheme. That's a little brutal. Tough. I'll go Kingsley Suamataia and hope they can develop him at right tackle. I don't love that. Sorry, 49ers fans. I'm really not loving the options that were available there. So what, receiver for the Chiefs in the first round? Yeah, Xavier Worthy. Can we get him an offensive tackle? Can we go Christian Jones? Do we like Christian Jones here? I like Christian Jones. And that's going to do it. That's going to be the second round. So you already got to see Mel Kiper Jr.'s mock draft. Let's go ahead and jump down to the second round. Here's what I tacked on. I did this all on the fly. Normally I have like a prepared mock draft and I know who's going to take what and I kind of have a plan in mind where I want to build these teams up, all that sort of stuff. I kind of have a narrative that I want to go off of. Today, we did this on the fly. So let me know what you thought about the second round. Let me know what you think about this new series. Do you want me to just react to these mocks? That's totally fine if that's how you feel. But if you like me adding on the second round and being, quote unquote, on the clock, I'd love to know if you dig that because I'd love to do more of it. And it kind of allows us to get more and more content into this video. That's not just me saying, oh, I like that. Oh, I don't like that. This is me kind of getting a little bit more involved. So let me know what you think about the new idea for this series on the clock. But of course, let me know what you think about Mel Kiper Jr.'s first round mock 2.0. And let me know what you think about the second rounder that I tacked on after it. But like the video if you enjoyed, subscribe if you're new to the channel. And I hope you all have a fantastic rest of your day. Until next time, my name's T. Janine, signing off.